There's a new state law that was passed last year, and there's a section that's going to go into effect in October 1st of 2011, and it will require all garbage haulers to, if they offer what we call curbside trash collection, they must also offer recycling for the same price. The law allows them to adjust that price from what it is now, but it doesn't allow them to split that out in the bill. So it can't be, so if you as a consumer decide, I don't want my hauler to pick up my recycling, that's okay, that's your right, but your bill is not going to go down. You're going to pay for it no matter what, and all haulers must offer that. In addition, I would refer people to the HRRA website. It's hrra.org, and there's a section on the left-hand side where you can click on haulers. At the top of that page, there's it's called permitted haulers, and every garbage collector in the region who has registered with the municipality in which they collect, which is a requirement of state law and local ordinance, and who has gotten HRA permits and their recycling permits and so forth, and are compliant with the law, are listed there. All haulers should be listed there, but we find them all the time who have started doing business without following the rules. And we've run into some difficulties with some who have made arrangements with customers and then don't show up. And people have stuff sitting out, and a company will just go out of business overnight, and you may have a lot of material. We had one a couple of years ago who, it was the middle of July, and people had all their stuff sitting on the street, and the hauler didn't show up for a week and didn't let anybody know. So it took a while before we realized, oh, this is a company that has sort of gone belly up. So we encourage people to use the ones that are permitted and registered, and we update that every time a new hauler registers, or something else we check to be registered. You also have to show proof of insurance. And I know that that's important to everybody. You know, garbage trucks are big, and they are out in all kinds of weather, and it's important to the municipality, the town of Brookfield, for example, that while they're using Brookfield roads, that they're insured properly so the town and the people of the town are protected. Sure. If they're on that list, then they have what is sufficient in terms of insurance.
Okay. Regarding electronics, what can Brookfield residents do to recycle used electronics?
Electronics is we have a brand new exciting program for electronics. Again, the impetus was a state law passed a few years ago that required municipalities to make electronics recycling for certain types of electronic devices like TVs, computers, printers, monitors. I think those were the four covered by the law. To make that available to residents in a way that was easy, convenient, and free. The municipalities in the 11 municipalities in the HRA, including Brookfield, decided that they would request for proposals from electronics recyclers and see if they could do better than that for their residents. And they did. So now every town in the region has a contract with a company called We Recycle. It's out of Meriden. And you can drop off at the New Milford Recycle Center any time it's open, any residential electronics at no charge. So the ones covered by the state law, as well as VCRs, digital cameras, cell phones, PlayStations, other kinds of video games, boom boxes. It probably dates me, but boom boxes.
8-track tapes.
Exactly, 8-track tapes, and we do get a few of those. Any kind of electronics that you can think of you can drop off there. Again, it has to be residential. If you have a small business and you're trying to, swap, a dozen computers for new ones,
Right.
you're going to have to make separate arrangements. But that program has been going now for just about a year, and it's catching on more and more. People are becoming more and more aware of it, and it's programs like this that allow us to get the word out. Brookfield also took advantage of the contract and had a one-day collection right in town on April 30th at Huckleberry Hill School, and I believe that they will do that in the future as well. So anytime you want to, you don't have to wait for a special day.
Good, good. Do businesses have to recycle? Towns, schools? Is single stream available to them as well?
Single stream is available to everybody. Anybody who wants to use it, it's available for. The law in Connecticut since 1991 has been that everybody has to recycle. And there's a list in the law of mandatory recyclables. We recycle a lot more in this region than the state minimum, but the law applies to not just residents like you and me, but businesses, large, small, municipal facilities, school facilities, institutional facilities. Everybody is required by law to recycle in Connecticut. Do they do it? Well, you drive around, you see, you go to a restaurant and you see whether they've got a recycling container there along with their garbage container or not.
Right.
But it doesn't mean that the law does not apply to them. It absolutely, positively does.
Okay. And as you started to touch on, we are fairly good recyclers in this region. And is there a specific goal, and how are we doing?
When the state first started in '91, the goal was to recycle, I believe it was 20% of the waste that we produced. A few years later, it went to 30 and then 40%. Now the state goal is to recycle 58%. I'm sorry to say that in our region, and Brookfield included, we're still mired somewhere in the 20 to 30% range.
Really?
We're very hopeful that single stream recycling will help improve those numbers as we make it more convenient for people, that more people will choose to recycle. The state, in the last couple of years, did what they call a waste characterization study, where they went out and they sampled garbage at various transfer stations around the state, and they found that still like 25% of what we throw away is some kind of paper product that could be recycled and is available for recycling. So that's a huge piece of the waste stream. And then organics, to get our food waste, which is very heavy, out of the garbage by either composting if you live at for a single-family home, or using what is really a one-of-a-kind facility in Connecticut, New Milford Farms in New Milford, that can do institutional food composting. The only plant of its kind in Connecticut, and unfortunately those of us who live around here don't take as much advantage of it as we should. But that
You
would
said that's in New Milford.
Yes, that would. It's at the old Nestle's location, and they've been there for 4 or 5 years now, and they get a lot of food waste trucked in from New York City, and the food waste from Yale is coming to New Milford Farms, and we're trying to work on a program to get some food waste from perhaps school systems or other sort of institutional settings to them. There are some logistical problems, sort of which comes first. The haulers don't want to pick up unless they have several customers, enough to make a truckload. Customers don't want to commit until they know that they have a hauler who will do the collection. So we're trying to put haulers and customers together in a way that perhaps some at least pilot program routes can be developed and get things going that way. Now, you ask about what the state goal is, and the reason that we need to really do our best to hit that goal is in Connecticut, we get rid of our trash not in landfills, but at waste-to-energy plants. And there are 6 of them in the state, and they operate at capacity. And over the long run, if we recycle at a 58% rate, we won't have to build new ones. If we don't, we're going to be looking at building new ones, and no one wants it in their town.
Right. Well, we're getting close to the end of time here, but finally, is there one final thing that you'd like to leave with our audience?
I'd like to really encourage everybody to try recycling if you haven't already. With the single stream program, I think that you'll find that it's much more convenient than it might have been the last time you tried. So please try one more time and help us get those numbers up.
Well, good words, and I advise our people to do that. And by the way, we're not just in Brookfield, we're talking about the whole area that Charter services. Well, we're going to wrap up our show now. Again, I'd like to thank our guest Cheryl Reedy, Director of the Housatonic Resources Recovery Authority, or HRRA, for appearing on the show. Cheryl can be reached at the HRRA by calling 203-775-6256 or by email at cherylreedy@hrra.org. Please check them out on their website as well. Again, that's www.hrra.org. It's crucial that we all do our part, not just for ourselves, but for future generations. And I'd like to remind our viewers that the shows air on Mondays at 4:30 and Thursdays at 7 p.m. Segments from our show are also available on YouTube at www.youtube.com/Brookfield Public Advo. And we'd love to hear from you. We can be reached at Brookfield Public Advocate at yahoo.com. Please make comments, ideas for shows, guests who you might like to appear on the show. Again, thanks for watching, and good night. Guess we're still on, but very good. I think very informative.